Think of the person who can walk into a room and instantly gauge the emotional temperature. They notice a tightening in a stranger's jaw or a subtle shift in a friend's posture, anticipating needs before they are ever voiced. We typically categorize these traits as natural intuition, the markers of a high EQ, fostered by a supportive, stable upbringing. For many, however, these abilities began as forced adaptations. This heightened perception is often the signature of a nervous system that was trained, by necessity, to read a room just to feel safe. When a child's safety depends on predicting an adult's volatility, the brain's threat center, the amygdala, remains in constant frantic communication with the analytical prefrontal cortex. This creates a high-traffic neural loop. Over time, these pathways thicken and accelerate, physically rewiring the brain to prioritize the detection of subtle social cues above almost everything else. This form of intelligence functions as a biological survival mechanism, built specifically to navigate environments where the margin for error was razor-thin. This process starts in unpredictable or emotionally complex homes. In these spaces, a child quickly learns that their well-being depends on their ability to forecast a parent's mood. The child's brain begins to specialize in pattern recognition. They scan for micro-expressions and postural tension, searching for data points that tell them whether the environment is safe or if a conflict is imminent. This leads to hyperempathy, a state where the child must constantly track and absorb the emotional states of those around them to avoid being caught off guard by a sudden shift in the atmosphere. By the time they reach adulthood, this tracking system is automatic. They sense a shift in someone's energy even before that person has fully processed their own internal feelings. This radar system continuously tags incoming signals for potential danger. It is a highly calibrated biological response, refined through thousands of hours of forced observation. This early hypervigilance often matures into a fierce, quiet self-reliance. Because depending on others felt unreliable or risky, these individuals prioritize competence and build their own solutions. Years of managing high-stakes environments can lead to stress inoculation. While others might panic when a situation becomes volatile, these individuals often become more focused, strategic, and calm. This graph illustrates why that happens. While a typical stress response spikes wildly during a crisis, the stress-inoculated line remains flat because it is already functioning at a high baseline. Chaos doesn't feel like a disruption because for years, chaos was the norm.
However, a nervous system built for a war zone struggles to find its bearings when the conflict ends. Stillness and quiet can feel physically uncomfortable, even threatening. To a mind conditioned to stay alert for the next shift in the environment, rest feels like letting one's guard down. The sensitized amygdala continues to process the world at a high frequency. This can make music, social injustices, or even a small act of kindness feel overwhelmingly intense. To protect themselves, they maintain a high threshold for trust. This acts as a protective filter, designed to scrutinize every signal of safety before letting anyone through. The mental architecture that ensures survival in a crisis simultaneously acts as a barrier to finding peace. The very same skills that make them incredibly resilient also keep them in a constant state of perpetual readiness. This form of intelligence carries a heavy price. The mental sharpness is tangible, but it was often purchased at the expense of a child's sense of security. As these individuals mature, many develop a drive to ensure that the pain they analyzed and endured is not wasted. Research on post-traumatic growth suggests that navigating early adversity often results in a specific type of clarity regarding what actually matters in life. While their trust filters are difficult to bypass, the connections that do make it through tend to be unusually honest, durable, and resilient. Reclaiming true rest requires a conscious effort to tell the nervous system that the threat has finally passed. It is the process of learning to stay still without staying alert. Healing involves the choice to use these perceptual skills on your own terms.
It is about taking the remarkable architecture of a mind that survived and deciding for the first time exactly where to point it.